Look, at the end of the day, I think Israel is trying to send a very strong message that the period when Israel could be targeted, its citizens could be targeted, what they're feeling now is kind of ad infinitum, and their adversaries can walk freely in cities where they're provided safe haven are over. The Israelis have been saying for a very long time that the problem is not actually Hamas or Hezbollah or the Houthis or the Hashd al-Shabi, but it's Iran. And I think one of the key things that draws together Fuad Shukr and Ismail Haniyeh, even though Shukr is very, very, very operational and Haniyeh is very, very, very political, is that they were both key interlocutors for their organizations on their issue set with Iran. Removing Fuad Shukr actually has some real operational implications for Hezbollah. There's no single point of failure, but it also comes on the heels of some 400 other Hezbollah operatives, including some very senior regional commanders were assassinated. 400 pinpricks makes a hole, and then you pull at that string, which is what Fuad Shukr is, and that hole becomes a lot bigger. For Ismail Haniyeh, first of all, he wasn't as moderate as some press is making him out to be, but as the public face, that was his job. But he was unique in that he was a Gaza person who'd been in Gaza not so long ago, had very good ties to the Iranians. He has 3 deputies, none of whom can easily step up. Musa Marzouk is from Rafah originally, but hasn't been to Gaza in a million years. Jabri is just took over for Aruri. He's too new to the job, and he's up there. And the others don't have Gaza ties. So this actually, both of these strikes will have some impact in terms of those organizations' ability to do the things they're doing. One operationally, one politically. My concern in the immediate is for the hostages, and I don't think that this torpedoes prospects for a Gaza deal, because I think that the factors that were driving Sinwar in Gaza and Netanyahu in Israel towards the deal remain. I think that that's not going to happen today or tomorrow. That's going to be paused, clearly. And the immediate question, and what this will end, is kind of what the retaliation will be. I think Iran is going to want to keep this as contained as possible, because Iran does not want this fight to come on a more regular basis into Iran's borders. I could see Iran telling Hezbollah, feel free to do a little more than you might have done just after Fuad Shukr was killed, because there are really 2 sets of dynamics that are restraining Hezbollah from full-scale war. One of those is Iran saying, keep the powder dry, because your rockets are our best deterrent against an Israeli or someone else, an attack on our nuclear program. I could see them saying Hezbollah do something more, short of full-scale war still, but something more. But I think that this is an account that will be open. And as it just so happens, on August 7th, we have an event where we're going to be launching a new interactive map on Iran's external operations that we've been working on for 2.5 years. And I would expect that that type of activity is what we're going to see increase even more now. Iranians doing things that they believe are a little bit of an arm's reach, a little bit of reasonable deniability. And that means that a little more instability of that kind moving forward, but not the kind of regional war that some are fearing. So let me stop there for introductory remarks.
Thank you. And I actually don't really have much more to add than what Matt said, but just kind of touching on a couple of points that Matt raised. One is, this is a very significant symbolic, I'm talking about Haniyeh in particular. This is a very significant symbolic attack, but it's not going to have any real operational implications. The decisions during the war were made by Sinwar. Haniyeh was not really part of that. In the longer term, though, it does create a leadership vacuum. As Matt said, Haniyeh was unique, not only, by the way, the fact that he was one of the founding generation of Hamas, that he was from Gaza, but also he was one of actually few people who had good relations with Iran in the political level. Israel has already killed the main contact with Iran earlier this year in January, Saleh Aruri. Now, when you got to choose the next person who will lead Hamas, there isn't anyone who is senior, who is acceptable in Tehran. Mish'al is persona non grata, and Abu Marzouk has other kind of liabilities. Now, what can Hamas do really in response? Not much. We are in the middle of war. Whatever Hamas could have done would have already done. Hamas, since the morning, has been trying to get people in the West Bank to take action. We already saw a terror attack in the Hebron area, but so far this has not really translated into any mass mobilization or any mass protests. We've seen some protests in the West Bank, but nothing major. This Hamas will have no choice right now but to step away from the hostage talks in the short term. But that, in my view, will be only performative. At the end of the day, the calculation of Sinwar, who is the one that matters, have not really changed. And once things die down, they will find a quiet way to go back in. The question is Israel willing to go forward with the hostage talks, or does Bibi feel that he's now the trajectory is working in his interest and he should wait a bit? And with this, I will end.
Just on Hamas's response, there's not actually tons Hamas can do. There are two things they can do. One is under Salah al-Aruri, Hamas built up a operational component in Lebanon, and I expect that some of the rockets that we'll see coming from Lebanon won't be just by Hezbollah. You'll see Hamas doing things from Lebanon as well. That Hamas operational component in Lebanon is also the element that was giving orders to the two different Hamas teams that tried to carry out, for the first time ever, terrorist plots in Europe over the past few months. Only once, maybe twice before, depending on how you count, did Hamas ever come close to carrying out an external operation. And I could see Hamas now saying, okay, the Israelis have gone too far, and this kind of pushing them, or at least some within Hamas, to say we should be doing more external operations.